Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a bit of a different video. I personally, in the past, have stayed very far away from sports manga because I don't really like sports in real life, and figured if I don't like them in real life, why would I want to read about them leisurely? And I know that a lot of people have a similar sentiment to that, and so getting into sports manga is a bit of a hurdle for people because they just don't really know where to start, or they don't know, they don't think they're going to like it. Basically, I just wanted to go over, I think I have 8 series here that over the years have kind of softened me towards sports manga, and now it's something I really, really enjoy reading. These are not some of the main series like Haikyuu or Slam Dunk or like Yowamushi Pedal, Kuroko no Basket. Like those series, I know about. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't. In the future maybe I'll read them, but this list is some lesser known titles and some titles that maybe you wouldn't think initially are sports manga titles, but I'll start off with a really obvious one, but this is one of the ones that started me off in the genre and really opened my eyes to exploring it more, and that's Takahiko Inoue's Real. This is an older Viz release, but they're still, I believe, in print. I bought these recently. I originally read the first 9 volumes from my library, and I recently bought the 14 that are out. It is on hiatus, I believe, still, but even if it never gets finished, it is worth reading what's out. And this is about wheelchair basketball. We follow a main character who is a bit of a delinquent high school student, and he is... he gets kicked off his basketball team or something, and so he starts trying to practice elsewhere, and he meets this guy. This is our main character, and this is a guy he meets who is in a wheelchair recently. He had to have his leg amputated, and it's about him kind of befriending this guy who's not really in a good place emotionally because he can't play basketball, or he feels like he can't play basketball anymore, but until he gets introduced to wheelchair basketball. And it's about all of the guys on this team. You learn their backstories, how they ended up in this position, and what brought them to play basketball. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of sadness and coping with life-threatening illnesses and injuries that will never heal. But it's about kind of healing their hearts with basketball and healing themselves by getting involved with something that they love again, but in a different way. And it's really, really well done. It's beautifully told. There's a lot of, it's a lot of sports stuff. It is a basketball series, but at the same time, it really does get into these characters and their thoughts and feelings and how they're coping with their injuries and illnesses. And it's really, really beautifully done, and it's funny, and it's heartbreaking, and it's got beautiful Takahiko Inoue color pages all throughout the volumes, and it's just excellent. Highly recommend reading Real if you have not already. It's really, really good. Another one I read a few years ago now, I have to reread it, but this was when I was just getting into some alternative manga, and I came across the publisher Gen. This is Wolf by Shige Nakamura, and this is just a all-in-one volume put out by Gen, this smaller alternative publisher, and the art is pretty interesting, but it's basically this young man, goes after his father who abandoned him when he was younger. His father is a world champion boxer, and so his father refuses to kind of actually talk to him unless he gets in the ring and defeats him in a boxing match. And so it's about this young man training to one day, actually be able to be one-on-one with his father and confront him. It's funny, it's lighthearted, it's not the best thing in the world, but it was pretty good, and for one of the first sports series I ever actually read, I did quite enjoy it. I need to reread it, But yeah, it's just an alternative one that not many people have picked up or heard of. But it's a really beautiful story about a father and son just trying to get on the same page and really understand each other. And it's one volume, so, you know, it's not like Slam Dunk where you're committing to so many volumes. Another really good short one that I recommend is Dive. Now, this one I watched the anime for first, but this is a 3-volume adaptation of the anime, and it's about a middle school the main character is in middle school, but the others are high school. Some of the others are high schoolers. Diving club, and they are aiming for the Olympics. It's not a super complete story because, like, in 3 volumes, you really can't. It's a nice color page. You really can't, you know, adapt from, you know, the starting point that they're at to all the way to the Olympics. It just isn't realistic. But it's based on a novel that was then turned into a live action, also made into an anime, made into multiple manga adaptations, but this is the only manga adaptation we have in English. But it's good. I like it. It's fun. It's cute. It's really funny. And, you know, it's an interesting look into a bit more of a niche sport like diving, and how these young boys are kind of dealing with the pressures of balancing their passion and their hopefully future career in diving while also maintaining a school and hoping to maintain a social life, but not really, you know, knowing how to do that because they have to commit all of their time and effort into their diving. You see a few competitions, you see a lot of rivalries because it is an individual sport, but they all are part of the same club. So there's that. It deals really well with relationships, especially in a competitive individual sport where you also have, you know, you grow up training with these people, but then as soon as you're in a competition, you are up against each other, and competing against each other. And I think it starts that dialogue really, really well in this series. Another one that I read from the library, and I only own a few of these floppy ones, is 1 Pound Gospel by Rumiko Takahashi. This is a 4-volume series that like I said, I read it from my library. Those are out of print, unfortunately. I'm hoping with a lot of these Rumiko Takahashi volumes getting reprinted or series getting reprinted recently that 1 Pound Gospel will get the same treatment because this is an excellent short series. It's about this boxer who is in love with this nun, and he is really good at boxing, but he's horrible at making weight because he just wants to eat all the time. And so he constantly is eating, but he needs to stay within his weight class. So his trainer and his coach is just like so over it and wants him to take his career seriously. And then it's a romance between him and this local, this nun at a local, I don't know if she lives like up the street, I guess. So he constantly is getting involved with her, and she's like battling between her faith and being a nun, and obviously not being able to have a relationship while she's a nun, versus, you know, cheering him on and being a support to him and his career. It's a really cute, funny series that's short and sweet at 4 volumes. Like I said, it's a bit harder. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to find the volumes, but they are out of print. So I'm hoping Viz will reprint them, and I bought a few of these floppy ones just because I don't have the actual full volumes at this point in time. Another one that most people do know about, this is Welcome to the Ballroom. This is the 10th volume. Recently came out. I just thought the cover was really beautiful and hopefully will entice you to read it. But this one is a ballroom dancing series that's really good. There's a few ballroom dancing series out. We've got Let's Dance a Waltz, a 3-volume shoujo series. We've got Ten Dance, an excellent boys love series about 2 men, grown men, kind of falling in love while they're practicing ballroom dancing. But this one is an excellent series about a middle school kid who kind of falls into ballroom dancing and falls in love with it immediately. And he's just trying to make a statement, and his rival is a boy his age who's been ballroom dancing his whole life. And it's really action-packed. We're right in the smack middle of a competition here, but you can see like the beautiful spreads of the dancing, and yeah, it's got a lot of story to it. It's not all just competitions and whatever, but this is another one where it's, you train with all these people, but it is a partner sport. So you train and you're in the same studio as all these other people, but as soon as you hit that dance floor, you are a competitor against them. And that's a fun dynamic. I really like the individual sports more so sometimes than the team sports. But next up, we've got Punch. This is a 3-volume shoujo. I believe it's out of print, but it's pretty easy to find. I bought these used, and I've seen them in my city alone several times up for sale used. So it's not difficult to find these for sure. This is about a girl whose father owns I don't know if it's specifically boxing or just mixed martial arts in general, like a training. He's the head coach at this facility, and this troubled teen ends up, I believe, moving in with them to train under the father's tutelage, and she is not impressed. She also has a childhood friend, of course, who I don't know if he also is into boxing. I can't really remember much, but all I know is it's a love triangle, and of course this dude is moody and good at fighting, and the father's trying to like tame his anger into a productive career in boxing. But it's really cute, and if you like shoujo, it's a nice intro to sports manga to see, because there is enough sports in here, but also it is a romance story, so you get the school life and the crushes and the love triangle and the childhood friends. But I read this one a few years ago and quite enjoyed it. Next up is by Mitsuru Adachi. We've got Cross Game. This is one of the best. This is one of the best series in general that I've ever read, but in terms of sports, this one follows baseball. We have our main character starts off he's like 10 or 11 years old or something at the beginning, but we follow him through up until he's, I think, almost an adult, honestly. But we've got some really, like, Mitsuru Adachi's art is just excellent. You get some nice, really cool baseball spreads. The scenery is always really nice. But this is a drama. It's a comedy. It's a heartbreaking story. It's about hope and friendship and trust and loyalty, and just, it's so beautiful. I don't want to spoil anything because I went into this without knowing anything about it and just completely was taken aback. I just didn't know what was going to happen. And I think that's the best way to go into it, because just take my word for it. This is something you need to read. Even if you don't like baseball, the baseball scenes are so fast-paced and like action, like it's so, like you're captivated. I know nothing about baseball, and I was just captivated. I wanted so badly for this kid to just succeed, and the tomboyish girl character who just wants to play baseball and is very good at it. You have that dynamic as well, of her not being able to actually compete on the team, but she still gets to practice with them, and she's better than most of them. You've got a lot of romance, a lot of family dynamic. This is like a slice of life. It's a beautiful, beautiful slice of life series that is, the first one is a 3-in-1 omnibus, the rest are 2-in-1 omnibuses, and there's 8 of them in total. So 17 volumes? That sounds right. 17 volumes in Japan, but we have 8 of these omnibuses in English, and they're just, this is one of the best things I've ever read. And it happens to be a baseball series. So yeah, excellent, excellent, excellent series. Next up, we've got another shoujo. This is Waiting for Spring by Anashin. This is almost done. Volume 14 comes out in 2021, and that's the final volume. I've been collecting this since it first started running, and this is a shoujo series about this girl who ends up befriending all the boys, the four most popular boys on the basketball team at her school, and she also has a childhood friend who is a basketball player, and it's, of course, a love situation. Oh, there's the other boys. And yeah, it's just a cute series, but you get a lot of basketball games and basketball training shots and all of that kind of stuff, because it is very hyper-focused on the fact that they, they're part of this team and basketball is their life. And then this girl comes in and she's, rooting for them and passionate for them about their passion for basketball. The art is adorable. Everyone's super attractive, of course. There are other females in the series. There's the shop the cafe bakery she works at. There's a bit of an older 20-something woman who's gorgeous and really lovely. It's just, I love the art. The basketball scenes, I don't think there's many in this very first volume of like them actually playing basketball yet, but as the series goes on, you get a lot of tournaments, you get a lot of practice shots, you get a lot of their kind of frustration with them when they lose, and that team dynamic, trying to stay together in that way. It's really good. And again, a really good one if you're more into shoujo, you're not really into sports, but you're kind of wanting to get a little bit of a taste of a sports manga. This is a good one to start with, because it's all the shoujo things you love, but it also focuses on basketball as well. And then last but not least, this one's more of a recent pickup. This is Crimson Hero, and this is a volleyball series, if you cannot already tell, about this rich girl, her from a very proper family, who is very tomboyish and just wants to play volleyball. So she goes to this school. Turns out they don't have a girls' volleyball team, so she ends up living in a boarding house with the boys' volleyball team and being like on the sidelines trying to start a girls' volleyball team. It is early 2000s fashion and art. It is so good. I've read about 4 volumes of it so far, maybe 5. And it's hilarious. I haven't finished this one. It isn't complete in English, unfortunately. We only got 14 volumes of this. It's 20 volumes in Japan. But I figured I'd add this to the series, to the video, just because I had never heard of it, or I'd heard of it, but I'd never looked into it, and I recently acquired it. And it is so good so far for a drama-filled sports series that is shoujo and, focused on volleyball. I just think that, especially with the popularity of Haikyuu, I think there will be some people who like shoujo who are interested in reading about more volleyball, and I think that Crimson Hero is a great one if you're looking for ridiculous drama, and also a lot of volleyball games. It's hilarious, and again, I just think that hopefully you've seen something in this video that has enticed you to check out some sports manga, because I've really been enjoying this genre of manga over the past couple of years, and it just took a few things with some different, takes on sports for me to get interested in it. I looked at Yowamushi Pedal and Kuroko no Basket and Slam Dunk and all those things that I'm like, oh, it is what it is. And maybe I'll read it one day. But it just took some of these series with a bit of a different twist and a bit more story development than like it's not as intimidating, these series, because they're not as long. You look at Slam Dunk and you're like, oh my God, that's so many volumes to collect. It's so many volumes to try and read. And it doesn't mean it's not fantastic. I'm sure it is a very fantastic series from what else I've read of Takehiko Inoue, but it's intimidating, especially if you don't know if you're going to like sports manga, to try and pick up something that intimidating. Whereas these ones are a lot shorter. They're a lot less of a commitment to purchase, and they're just something a bit different to kind of ease you into the genre. So anyway, if you have any other sports manga recommendations, please leave them in the comments. I'm sure that people watching, as well as myself, would love to hear a series that you've enjoyed. I am looking forward to delving into this genre more and more over the next few years, and hopefully we'll get some more series that are, like this, that are some shorter ones that we can enjoy. And yeah, thanks for watching.